You're standing in your own multi-million-dollar beach house when suddenly the people who disowned you 10 years ago walk through your front door. They think they're renting a stranger's property for their family reunion. But surprise, it's yours. That's exactly what happened to me, and trust me, what unfolded next will blow your mind. 10 years ago, I walked away from my wealthy family with nothing but $800 and a camera. Today, I'm about to tell you how that camera led me to owning the very house they're now paying me to stay in. Let me paint you a picture of my childhood. I'm Stephanie, and growing up as the middle child in an old money Boston family meant one thing: you better fit the mold or get left behind. My dad, Harold, was this big-shot real estate developer, and my mom, Eleanor, came from Southern aristocracy. Everything in our house had to look perfect, including us kids. My older brother, James, golden boy, Ivy League education, law degree, partnership at a fancy firm by 28. My younger sister, Amanda, she locked down her future by marrying into another wealthy family before she even finished college. 4-carat ring, country club membership, the whole package. And then there was me, carrying around this beat-up camera since I was 7 years old. Now here's the thing, I wasn't snapping photos with some expensive equipment. This was just a cheap disposable camera my grandmother gave me, but I was obsessed. I'd photograph everything. The way morning light hit our breakfast table, shadows dancing across our perfectly manicured lawn, even the secret smile our housekeeper would get when she thought nobody was watching. But every time I showed any interest in photography, my mother would shut it down fast. Photography is just a hobby, Stephanie. It's not a career for someone of your background. She'd say this while rearranging the couch pillows I'd supposedly messed up just by sitting down. By 16, I'd saved up enough birthday money and babysitting cash to buy my first real camera. I spent every free moment teaching myself techniques from library books and online tutorials, hiding my passion like other teenagers hide their vaping habits. My parents had different plans, though. You need something practical, my dad would say. Business, maybe. You've always been good with numbers. Sure, I was good at math, but only because it helped me understand camera settings better. Still, I gave in. I applied to business school, and they were thrilled. What they didn't know, I was secretly taking photography classes on the side, sneaking off to the art building between my economics lectures. For 4 years, I lived this double life. Then came graduation day. We're sitting at this fancy restaurant, crystal glasses everywhere, celebrating my shiny new business degree. I had this whole speech planned out. I figured with a job offer from a prestigious firm in hand, something my dad had helped arrange, I finally had enough leverage to tell them the truth. I've decided to pursue photography professionally, I announced, after we'd ordered. I've been accepted into this amazing mentorship program. The silence that followed was deafening. My mother's smile stayed frozen in place, but her eyes turned to ice. My father just stared at me like I'd started speaking in ancient Greek. "Don't be ridiculous," he finally said. "You're starting at the firm next month. It's all arranged." Actually, I'm not. I already declined their offer. What happened next was a masterclass in emotional manipulation. They didn't yell or scream. Instead, they delivered this calculated breakdown of why my dreams were foolish. Photography was unstable, beneath our family status, a waste of my potential. They quoted statistics about failed artists like they were reading stock reports. Then came the ultimatum. "If you pursue this," my father said, his voice deadly calm, "you do it without our support, financial or otherwise." My mother added the final blow. "We've invested too much in you to watch you throw it all away." 2 days later, I packed everything I owned into my old Honda Civic. My bank account had $800, barely enough for a few weeks in some sketchy hostel. James watched me pack, leaning against my bedroom doorframe. "They'll get over it," he said, though his tone suggested he didn't believe it himself. Amanda didn't even bother saying goodbye. That first year nearly broke me. I rented a closet-sized room in Brooklyn with 3 roommates. During the day, I made coffee for ungrateful customers. Evenings, I waited tables at this dive restaurant. Nights and weekends, I built my portfolio, photographing anything that might get me noticed. Urban landscapes, budget events for friends who couldn't afford real photographers, dating profile pics for people on apps. Glamorous, right? The first Christmas away from home, I called my parents. The phone rang. And rang. No answer, no voicemail. I tried again on New Year's, then my birthday, then Easter. Eventually, I stopped trying. James sent a few text messages that first year. Happy birthday, Merry Christmas. He even met me for coffee once, checking his watch every 5 minutes, like he was afraid someone might see us together. By the second year, even those messages stopped. I found out Amanda had a baby through social media. Nobody told me I'd become an aunt. When my grandmother died, I learned about it from her obituary online. My name wasn't listed among the surviving family members. They didn't just cut me off, they erased me completely. But here's where the story gets interesting. My big break came through pure desperation. This wedding photographer needed an emergency assistant when his regular person called in sick. The pay was terrible, $100 for 12 hours of work, but I needed every dollar. I showed up early, stayed late, and anticipated what he needed before he even asked. You've done this before, he said as we packed up at 2 in the morning. No, I admitted, but I want to learn. His name was Garrett, and he became my mentor. Not out of charity, mind you. Garrett wasn't the charitable type. But he recognized something in me that matched his own hunger for success. Within 6 months, I was his second shooter at high-end weddings. But more importantly, he taught me the business side. Real estate, he told me one day while reviewing my portfolio. That's where the consistent money is. Weddings are seasonal. People buy houses year-round. He connected me with a realtor friend who needed photos for a modest listing. The commission was small, but I approached it like I was shooting for a major magazine. The realtor was impressed and started referring me to colleagues. Within months, I was specializing in real estate photography, developing a reputation for making even the most basic properties look absolutely stunning. 2 years into my new career, I landed my first luxury property, a $4.2 million penthouse overlooking Central Park. The owner, Lisa Montgomery, watched me work with quiet interest. You see angles others miss, she commented. You find beauty in unexpected places. Lisa was 68, a widow who'd built a publishing empire from scratch. She hired me for several of her properties, then started recommending me to friends. Soon I was photographing homes for some of Manhattan's wealthiest families. When Lisa was diagnosed with cancer, she asked me to document her favorite homes for a personal project. We traveled to her properties across the country, a mountain lodge in Aspen, a penthouse in San Francisco, and her favorite, this stunning beach house in the Hamptons. My children hate this place, she confided as we walked along the private beach. Too remote, they say. Too much upkeep. Lisa died 6 months later. I attended her funeral, standing at the back of a packed cathedral. Her children all looked appropriately sad, but eager for the reception to begin. None of them recognized me. 3 weeks later, I got a call from Lisa's attorney. Ms. Montgomery left you something. Can you come to the office tomorrow? I expected maybe a piece of jewelry or one of her cameras. Instead, the attorney slid a deed across his desk. The Hamptons Beach House, along with a maintenance fund to cover taxes and upkeep for 5 years. Lisa's letter was brief but clear. Stephanie, you understand beauty in a way my family never has. This house deserves someone who appreciates it. Make it your own, but more importantly, make it work. The next morning, I chose my outfit carefully. A simple but expensive black dress, subtle jewelry, hair pulled back in a sleek ponytail. Professional, successful, unmistakably in control. I waited until they were all gathered for lunch on the deck, then made my entrance. The sound of my heels on the hardwood floors announced my arrival before I actually appeared. Conversations stopped mid-sentence. 12 pairs of eyes turned toward me. My mother's wine glass slipped from her fingers, shattering on the deck. My father's face drained of color so quickly I worried about his health. Hello, everyone. I said with my most professional smile. I hope you're enjoying your stay. Amanda recovered first, her eyes narrowing. What are you doing here? How did you get in? I live here, I replied simply. This is my house. Closing. The confrontation that followed changed everything, but not in the way you might expect. We didn't have some magical Hollywood reunion where everyone hugged and all was forgiven. Instead, we had something more valuable. Honest conversations about boundaries, respect, and what family really means. Today, we have a relationship built on mutual respect, rather than obligation. It's not perfect, but it's real. And I learned the most important lesson of all. Sometimes you have to lose your family to find yourself. And sometimes finding yourself is what allows you to build the family you actually want. The next time someone tells you to abandon your dreams for security, remember this story. Sometimes the biggest risk is not taking one at all. If you've ever had to rebuild yourself after someone tried to break you, drop a comment below. And if this story inspired you to chase your own dreams, hit that like button and subscribe for more real-life stories that prove anything is possible when you believe in yourself.